everybody! I'm here with a ferret. Hello, ferrets. How are you, buddy?
I'm a pirate.
You're a pirate. I've been making a pirate game the past week. I must admit, I very much have a love-hate relationship with O3D at the moment. But guys, if you've been watching the stream, you've been seeing me make a pirate game. We will be talking about certain YouTubers having opinions on games taking too long and not being able to pick up a single piece of code, but we'll talk about that too. But I really am impressed with the engine. But yeah, it's a love-hate relationship sometimes. But anyway, how you been? What have you been up to for the past week?
I mean, today's only Monday, so...
Yeah, but it's been a week since we did the show.
True.
So what have you been doing?
Getting in some trouble at work, but the same old though.
Yeah. What's her name? Should we ask?
Not that kind of trouble. The trouble where if I'm not careful, I cannot rack up enough points and get fired.
Right, okay. So it's not like you're doing some bitsy in the broom room closet and got caught or anything like that?
I mean, I would hope not, seeing how the door to that room has a big window on it.
Right. Well, yeah, it depends if you're in an exhibition or something. Anyway, let's jumping on into it because it's all good news. No.
Even though... Oh yeah, so there's coughs a lot over here.
Yeah, I've still got the flu, alright? But we're still here, we're still doing the show. So, Ubisoft...
The flu, right, okay, yeah.
The flu or COVID, it could be either, who knows. Ubisoft refuses to remove stolen banner from upcoming Assassin's Creed Shadow art book. Reenactment Group is now contacting Square Enix. Assassin's Creed, I tell you what, I really don't know which is a race towards the bottom faster. Shadow or for Assassin's Creed or the new Star Wars game?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, they're both doing really, really bad at public opinion at the moment. But Assassin's Creed developer Ubisoft is refusing to remove a banner it stole from a reenactment group for its up-and-coming art book for the game, and representative of the group has revealed it's contacted Square Enix to get the image removed from the book. The middle of June, Ubisoft was accused of stealing the banner of the Second Corps, as noted by former World of Warcraft team lead Mark Kern. The banner was seen worn by a soldier in the game. It's that banner where it's the red. Actually, I haven't shown my screen for you. Let me do that. It's that banner where you go through and it has like the you'll see it on the screen now. It has like that sort of So, at the end of the day, I believe this is an actual reenactment group. I don't think it was actually a legitimate banner that was actually from the time. But a member of the group was informed about the black flag and confirmed it was indeed the group's flag. As translated by Google on X, he wrote, "I've heard a little about it. It seems that the Shogun Rifle Corps was used as the background for the concept art of Assassin's Creed Shadow. I actually took a look at it, and when I zoomed in, I could definitely see the black flag that we use. Honestly, I'm not sure how to react." He also shared that the group was contemplating filing a lawsuit, but indicated the group is made entirely of volunteers and is a non-profit, or is not a profit-making entity. He stated, "Thank you so much for all your comments. We do not engage in profit-making activity and are run almost entirely by volunteers." He would go on to reveal that he contacted Ubisoft Japan and informed them that they should seek permission to use the black flag. Now, in defense of Ubisoft a little bit here, this flag that we've got on the screen that's coming up, I would say that it was probably printed to books weeks ago. before this was identified. I would say at the end of the day that it is entirely possible that these books have gone to the printers, because as you can imagine, Ubisoft is probably printing 50,000 copies or 100,000 or 500,000 copies, right? So they've had to go through and send them off to the printers. It probably is too late for Ubisoft to go through and to remove the image from the books. But that said, he also does have a comment or a point where he turns around and says that they should have asked for permission. But also, what do? Do you go around and you ask every single group that was ever around if you can use their image or their... they did contact a Japanese historian, and he was the one that advised them on some of this stuff. So it's not like they didn't try to make it accurate for some of it. But obviously the biggest problem that people have is that they have a black samurai that was never really a samurai, and we'll get to that in a sec, because it ends up being he was nothing more than a bodyguard. But spoilers alert. But yeah, I don't know. I think it is probably too late for them to change this book. It's probably gone to printers. It probably went to printers probably early June, considering the game is coming out, in September, October? When's the Assassin's Creed released?
I'm not for sure. I don't really keep up with the game.
Don't worry,
for various reasons.
Don't worry, a lot of people are. Released on the 15th of November. So it probably would take them 3 to 6 months to print all the books and get all the books done. Probably. So I would say it's probably realistic, yeah. But at the end of the day, like I say, look, I would suspect that I probably find that it's just a case of the fact that these books have gone to the printer. I don't think they're like, no, we don't want to remove it because we like the banner. It's a pretty insignificant thing. It's just a banner. They could have easily removed it. I just think it's a time constraint. But this is not. Don't worry, guys. I'm not simping for Ubisoft here. But I do think it is probably more just a case of them saying, well, look, hey, this banner is already, these books have already gone to the printers. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
It's another failed game that's probably going to fail.
How do you make an Assassin's Creed game fail? Like, legitimately, anyway. And look, this is, for the game that we have in mind that, we'll probably never make, but my idea for this game, one of the things in it is this massive, great big open world where you can travel to Japan and get these Japanese boats and buy Japanese boats. Pirate boats and stuff. I would have to go through, and I would be in a similar situation where I would have to go through and contact, certain people over in those sort of places and say to them, well, hey, look, can I use this? Can I use that? Blah, 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 blah. Look, it would be a massive problem, yeah. But also, I think the biggest problem that Assassin's Creed has here is the fact that it already has a damaged reputation when it comes to its player base. The reason why people aren't happy with Assassin's Creed is not because of the banner. The banner is just the thousands straw, right? It's just 1,000 pieces of straw. It's the fact that they've basically ruined a franchise by putting all this work stuff in it. But Japanese historian, I'm going to try and pronounce this. If I get it wrong, I apologize. Gucci Gala speculates Gucci Gozala. I'm getting it wrong. I haven't realized. But anyway, speculates that Yakushi, I'm getting that wrong too, was simply old Nebran's bodyguard and entertainer rather than a samurai as he's depicted in Assassin's Creed, which is basically what we've knew all along. So, Japanese historian has speculated that Yosaku was not a samurai, as the video game Ubisoft has claimed, but rather just a bodyguard and entertainer. In an interview with Japanese website, the translation via Deep L, Goza, who is a faculty member of the International Research Center for Japan Studies, focusing on Japanese medieval history. So, he might know what he's talking about. And author of What is a Samurai, probably also know what he's talking about, was asked what kind of person was Yasuki, and was he a samurai or not? Goza responded, there are very few historical records about Yasuki. So it's difficult to say. The history of Yasuki has not been subject of much research, in part because of the history of the personality is not the mainstream of historical studies. In the 15-volume Nokobi in the collection of the Soki Kombandana, which is the biographicals of Nokobi, the chronicles of Nokobi's life, there is a description of Nogobo giving Yasuki a sword and a house, indicating that he treats him as a samurai. However, this is something that only appears in his biography among a dozen other manuscripts, and we cannot deny the possibility that he was added later when the manuscript was transcribed. But from what I've heard, that this guy that Assassin's Creed has based it on was actually a bodyguard. He was a personal servant to this famous samurai guy. Now, I think the reason why Assassin's Creed or Ubisoft is used him as the main character is a certain complexion reason, right? But at the end of the day, that's what I think they've done it. It's just because of the fact that he was black, and we want a black character. We've got a guy who was loosely attached to the samurais. We'll make him the main character. But at the end of the day, I would have been far more interested in actually making a sort of more historical, accurate sort of game than what Ubisoft has done here with the creative license. But but hey, I don't have a massive game studio that has 500 to 1,000 staff members. But I don't know. What are your thoughts, Ferrets? What are your thoughts on this? Do you think he was just a bodyguard? Do you think he was a samurai? What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, they say that he was a bodyguard, right?
Yeah, they basically say that he was given a house and a sword by this famous samurai. But like they say, they can't rule out that the fact that this transcripts was changed later. Like, you got to remember, like, these are sort of like, imagine, like, it's like the Bible, right? There's like 50,000 versions of the Bible. And as the famous the famous passage is, I shall not suffer a poisoner to live. Right, which is fine. But during the Salem witch trials days, they changed it to, I will not suffer a witch to live, because they wanted to use that as a crux to get rid of witches out of Salem and blah, blah, blah. So it's like I say, history is easily changed when you're doing re-editions or whatever it may be. So like I say, at the end of the day, this is with these transcripts, they can't go through it, and they can't say for sure that these transcripts weren't changed at a later date, because it's not like they were written at the time. They're transcripts, right? And as far as I know, everything I have sort of watched or I've seen regarding this Assassin's Creed is the fact that he was nothing more than a bodyguard. Don't get me wrong. That's still important. He's a bodyguard to a freaking samurai. Right? But he wasn't a samurai. It's like, it's equivalent of saying to someone, like a president versus the Secret Service. It's like the equivalent, like, for example, you got Joe Biden at the moment in the White House. Imagine in 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 years later, someone from another culture comes along, and instead of having Joe Biden as the president, they go through and they put one of these Secret Service guys as in charge of the White House. It's that similar sort of thing, right? Like, these samurais, dude, they were big deal. They were really big deal. They were massive. They were like the craziest of the Japanese. They were insane. I love the fucking samurai. I love the samurai culture. But at the end of the day, it's like, this guy was not a samurai. He was a bodyguard to a samurai. Still cool. Still great. But he wasn't a samurai. And that's, I think, where a lot of people are having an issue with it. Like, you know, like, hey, well, if you wanted him in the game, why didn't you just put him as the bodyguard or something like that? Why didn't you keep it, like, historically accurate? And we know why they did it, sure. But I think that's where a lot of people have problems. It's like, well, you could have had this guy as an actual bodyguard in the game, and it could have been cool. Like, you could have gone to him and done missions, or gone through and sort of passed him notes to give to the samurais. You know, like, there's a whole bunch of stuff you could have done, but instead you wanted to go through and make him more important than what he was because of checkboxes. And that's where I think a lot of people have problems. Apart from that, is there anything else we want to talk about regarding this, or?
No, I think that's about it.
Yeah. Alright, guys. So let's jump on to the next topic. Small great news! Star Wars Outlaws! Are you looking forward to this, Ferrets? Are you looking forward to Star Wars Outlaw?
Oh yeah, it's my favorite game. When it came out in 2010.
The graphics are obviously a little, for a major studio, it's a little embarrassing, but we'll jump into that. They are, I believe they're probably, are they basing it on the standard Ubisoft engine? What engine is it? What? And it's probably Creation, right? Star Wars Outlaws. Star Wars so it's built on Snowdrop. So, the Snowdrop engine, to give you an idea, was so it's Ubisoft Snowdrop. It's a proprietary game created by Massive Entertainment. So Tom Clancy's Division, which, you know, has pretty decent graphics, so I'm surprised. Avatar is on Snowdrop, so, like, I don't know, maybe Ubisoft just can't code? I don't know. Star Wars Outlaw creates Star Wars Outlaws creative director name drops Ghost of Tsunami as his biggest reference. So the Star Wars Outlaws creative director Julian something name dropped Ghost of Tsunami as his biggest reference for upcoming Star Wars game. The Speaking with Games Radar reacted to report Dustin Bailey's comment that he thought the game reminds him of Red Dead Redemption. Wow, really, people? He stated, "It's super interesting because my biggest reference was Ghost of Tsunami." What? Because they're both open world? Is that what it is? Red Dead Redemption is phenomenal because it treats the world as a world. Yeah, obviously. Not as a checklist of activities that repeat often. Yeah, but does your game treat it like it's an open world? I don't know. What are your thoughts on the Star Wars Outlaw? Are you looking forward to it, or? Or is this another pass for you?
No, that was the pass. Yeah.
It's another pass, yeah. Look, at the end of the day, I would say that probably not. Ghost of Tsunami is probably not a reference I would think of when it comes to Star Wars Outlaws. But I would say maybe Starfield more than anything, maybe. But anyway. Then obviously after Ubisoft refuses to fix massive AI and graphical issues for Star Wars Outlaws, new clip shows just how terrible the game actually is. So there is a clip here, and we will play this. I did notice this when the clip was up, and I was like, oh, that AI, bro, that AI. But let's check this out.
The blaster battles felt like they had meaningful stakes, and the stealth gameplay had a bit of weight to it because I knew that I'd be up against it.
So there you can sort of see, like, I don't know. It does. It does seem a little bit.
That AI reminds me of Star Citizen.
Yeah, but
whenever their servers aren't like running as good, like NPCs just like stand there.
But that's the thing, right? Is that Star Citizen is running on servers with like 200 people, and that's tick rate. This is presumably on a server. It's a single player game, so there shouldn't be even servers. But also, like, this is probably run from their own servers, if it is a server based. So, like, how many people are playing it at the moment? None? 1? 2? Whoever was doing this, like, the way I think this is done, right? For a start, I'm very much doubting this is server side. It's a single player game. It should not be relying on servers. So take that argument out of it. I think this is just bad AI coding. And Snowdrop doesn't really have a problem with AI that I know of. I didn't really see it in Tom Clancy's Division or Division 2. The AI in that was pretty good. So once again, I'm not sure why Ubisoft is having a problem with this. But, you know, at the end of the day, that you can clearly tell when it comes to this video that the AI are janky and that the AI are having problems. I noticed it when the video was up because this is obviously someone doing a review on it. And we'll get to the page shields in a sec. But at the end of the day, like I say, you know, you go through, you watch the video again, like, she's shooting them, which is fine. They're shooting her, but, like, she's standing there for, like, 2 seconds when, like, none of them are really seemingly doing anything. One of them shoots. One of the guys runs to where she was and then realizes that she's moved, so then is now looking at her now. And the other was running towards... It's like, I don't know, it just seems to be like... It seems to be like it's tick rate. But then, like... Why would it be tick rate? Because, like, they shouldn't be running off servers. I don't get why this is an issue for, like, AI, but I don't know. Anyway, what are your thoughts on the AI? Besides, you know, Star Citizen on servers. Any thoughts? Or
well, it's a bit janky, yeah.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying is it's a single player game. It shouldn't be having issues with server or tick rate. That's my whole point. I'm very bad at iterating my point here. But this janky AI that we see at Star Citizen, that's server side. That's tick rate. This is a single player game that shouldn't be running on servers or tick rate or anything like that. So why is it still so bad? That's my question. So the only reason it would be bad in this sort of situation is coding. But anyway. More clips surface showing just how awful Star Wars Outlaws is. One shows stormtroopers firing point blank into the side of a building. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, but
As
like,
such,
isn't that actually normal though? Because stormtroopers can't hit the side of a barn.
Wow.
the blaster battles felt like they had meaningful stakes, and the stealth gameplay had a bit of weight to it because I knew that I'd be up against
oh, here it is. Here, sorry, this one. Wow.
Okay, that's a little bit uncalled for.
So I made a GIF of a stormtrooper AI firing into a wall. Yeah, so it looks like it's her vehicle around the corner, and they're trying to shoot at it, and they're sort of not realizing about the. So that's nav mesh. That's what that is. They need to update their nav meshing technology. Here's another video here. So that takedown was all right. That takedown was good. Star Wars makes me feel like an episode at Andor.
Move, trooper. There's a possible intruder near the cargo bay.
Nix, it's showtime.
Hey, get that thing!
Disturbance reported near the cargo bay.
Nix, put on a show.
599, get down there.
Any updates on the
Hey,
situation?
get that thing. Go away.
So the animations look good. A little bit disbelieving the fact that some stormtrooper is going to be distracted by a little animal that keeps making cute little noises. But let's face it, that animal is going to be a marketing opportunity. I got to play, so Nerdrotic, not to be confused with Nerdrotic, said I got to play Star Wars Outlaws for 4 hours. I didn't crash the speeder nearly as many times as I expected.
Whoa! This thing has some kick! Oh, okay, we're alive. We fix the ship, get to the gold world, and land.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm just, I don't know. Star Wars Outlaw creative director Gillian Getright rejects criticism of Kay Vest's look. It makes no sense to me, and it's not worth engaging in, which is a great way to win over the fan base that's currently angry with you about her look. So we do have some photos here of the actual model versus the game model. Ferrets, what are your thoughts?
I like the right to two. They look very nice, so very aesthetically pleasing.
I would probably play that game, yeah. Maybe that could be in Steel Blade. But
The two on the left though make me they make me think of the Terminator, the first one. She has a bit of a Sarah Connor vibe to her.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't get why you would sort of downgrade these women to look like they gave her a fucking bum chin. Like, legitimately, they gave her a bum. Like, you can see there, she's got a bum chin. They gave her a fucking bum chin. Why?
Well, you can't please everyone, gamers.
I know, but like, it's like, really? Like, they've definitely tried to make us sort of like less feminine. But, you know, at the end of the day. But more recently, more Leia compared to Star Wars Outlaws to Star Wars The Force Unleashed. She wrote, I never knew how good we had it, bros. Yeah.
I saw you pick those pictures real fast.
Yeah. But I was going to say, I was wondering if someone from the modding game community could fix the head and face model. If they do, it will most likely be banned on the modding Nexus Gaming mods. They responded to the criticisms, telling the Washington Post that Kate is meant to be approachable as a petty thief who ends up barreling through the story, making bad decisions and centering with a lot of humor, humility, and toughness. While making bad decisions, hey, who would have thought? That's what's important to me. She's beautiful. Come on. She's not really beautiful.
She's not beautiful.
No. He added, it makes no sense to me. It's not worth engaging in. If you agree with bad faith people, there's no nonsense, nuance, and possibility of real dialogue. So he's basically just turning around saying, yeah, bad faith because I disagree with what you have to say. Which just goes to show how much of an echo chamber he is actually in. But at the end of the day, here's the thing. If they had have kept it quite close to the original models, shit, man, I probably would have played the game. But, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Probably still not going to play it.
Nah. Then a German YouTube channel removes their Star Wars Outlaws preview video after admitting third-party agency had to approve it. Wow. So, German YouTube channel Pit Smith removed their Star Wars Outlaw preview video after admitting a third-party agency had to approve their nearly 1 hour reaction video after spending 4 hours with the game. In a post to YouTube, Pete Smith shared that they had removed their Star Wars Outlaw preview video from the channel, as translated by Deep L. One of the channel's owners state, "Hi, Peter here. We've taken the Star Wars video offline, not because we wanted to sweep something under the carpet or anything, but because it should never have been published and we don't want it on the channel. We talk a bit more about this next Pitcast episode. I'm sorry." The post came in a wake of comment revealing that the third-party agency had to approve the Star Wars Outlaws preview video. As translated by DeepL, the channel posted, "I completely understand the arguments that were made here and that was not correct. I had the opportunity to play the game for 4 hours and it was edited into over an hour. As a part of the review process, the entire video was thrown back to us and immediately intermediate agency, not Ubisoft, asked for a lot of changes, especially to the wording at the beginning. But since I personally thought the game was really cool, I didn't see it as a big problem. This was a huge miscalculation." It added, "Sorry, I don't have to pre-order a game, of course. You can buy whatever you like with your money. I absolutely enjoy the version that was shown. The process behind it was for the ass. I'm sorry. The process behind it was for the ass? Deep L. And I'm sorry that we don't print more against it, but ourselves beaten video been wiped out." So the translation shit. I will say that you will notice that his icon here has a little pride flag. At the end of the day, look, this is something that obviously the YouTube community is sort of talked out a little bit about. I wish they would focus more on. It's these YouTubers that get paid to go to these events. Now, Luke Stevens, I think it's Stevens, actually did a video where he went through and he was invited to this presentation. And he went through and basically said that it was in his contract that he could say whatever he wanted. So here it is here. Let me put this on the screen. duplicate that.
Empire Strikes Back and Return. So I recently got the chance to play 4 hours of Star Wars Outlaws, and I have some thoughts. In case you're somehow not familiar with the game at this point, Star Wars Outlaws is a single-player, third-person action-adventure game set in the Star Wars universe, specifically set between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, which means we may be seeing some familiar characters, you never know. You play as Kay Vess, who is an outlaw accompanied by a little sidekick named Nix, and you embark on a crazy that Star Wars is one this universe. It's wild. Taste, and I offered some impressions, but just to recap it, I thought that Star Wars Outlaws had a ton of Star Wars Outlaws, but just to taste, and I my editor Jacob out to Ubisoft Forward back in June. Team at Massive Entertainment have Ubisoft reached out and offered to sponsor this video to give me the chance to play the game for a further 4 hours. I was like, okay, as long as I'm allowed to say whatever I want to say, and they put that in black and white in the contract. So I am contractually obligated to tell you everything I think, positive or negative. And it's mostly positive, though I do have a couple of things with Star Wars Outlaws that...
So my problem with him saying this, right, and don't get me wrong, I love Steven, right? I love Luke, I think he's great. But here's my problem. If you are relying on Ubisoft to give you these keys to review these games, and you give a bad review because you think Star Wars Outlaws is shit, for example, what do you think the chances of you getting another 4-hour playtest next time their game comes out? Probably buckleys to none. Folks, what are your thoughts? It's reasonable to believe, right? If you go through, they fly you out and you play 4 hours of Star Wars Outlaws, right? Even if you do have it in the contract that you can be completely honest with the game, guess what? You still subconsciously are going to temper your criticisms because next time there's a game coming out, well, you know, they might not give me the code. They might not fly me out for 4 hours to play their games. And the reason...
So you're telling me that they're not going to fly me to the moon?
Well, here's the thing, right? Here's a gaming channel, Geeks and Gamers. Right? Big gaming channel. Has more subscribers than Luke's, I believe. Let me have a look. Geeks and Gamers. What's Jeremy got? Just shy. Sorry, he's on 400. Shy of 400. Luke was on just over 500, right? He's on 500, 530. Geeks is on 400. So they're about the same. Right? To give you an idea, Luke Steven got 192k off this video that was up 5 days ago. Geeks and Gamers got 130k off a video that was up 11 days ago. So, you know, they're sort of around the same.
The top of the penthouse.
But as I say, is at the end of the day, that there's going to be a point where you're like, if I bag this game too much, if I'm too heavy or heavy-handed on this game, too criticisms of this game, too heavy on the criticism, they might not fly me out for the next game, the Division 3 or whatever it may be that comes out. And I can tell you now, Ubisoft does not have a sense of humour. Some of the devs do not. I know, I've met some of them. They really do not have a sense of humour, especially when it comes to people trolling. But, long story, another time. But more Star Wars Outlook, and that's my problem with these guys that have all been flown out to play this 4 hours of Star Wars Outlaw. If they were really as honest about expecting people to give an honest review of this game, geeks and gamers would have been invited. But they weren't. Why not? Because they're going to be critical of it. So Ubisoft is like, well, we're not going to give you a copy of the game. We're not going to give you that 4-hour playtime. And this is, even though Luke can sit there and say, like, I'm contractually obligated to be as honest as I want. Sure. But here's the thing. You still need them to give you the code. And if you are too negative on the review, you will get the Geeks of Gamers treatment. So, I don't buy it when he sits there and says, this is my complete unfiltered opinion. Because he knows he will get that Geeks and Gamers treatment if he's too negative. Do you think I have a point, or do you think I'm wrong? What are your thoughts, friends?
True, actually.
Sorry, what were you saying? Sorry, what were you saying, buddy?
I said that is actually true.
Yeah. So more Star Wars Outlook, clip mock for being terrible AI, horrible physics, strong female protagonist. Ubisoft butted up to YouTubers and influencers with trips to Disneyland and boat tours to promote Star Wars Outlaws. So a new investigation into Ubisoft's marketing campaign for Star Wars Outlaws reveals the company butted up to YouTubers and influencers with trips to Disneyland and boat tours before giving them access for 4 hours of gameplay footage. German YouTuber Cyberpunk20XX discovered multiple YouTubers and influencers revealed how they were actually influenced by Ubisoft as a part of their company's large marketing campaign ever. The first Ubisoft CEO revealed that the company was rolling out its largest marketing campaign ever for Star Wars Outlaw during a recent earnings report call. When I look at the guidance of Q2, if I assume something familiar for back catalogue 22, it's 21, blah, 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 blah. It's getting to 200 million, 230 million pounds, that sort of range, for the new release of Star Wars Outlaws. Holy dude, it's a lot of money to spend on a game. When I look at the $70 price, I assume that you might want to get from it. I'm going for around 5 million units, something in that sort of bracket. So they're trying to sell around 5 million copies, and they sell it for about $70. So they're looking at making around the $350 million mark. But they've spent around $200 to $230 million. I don't know. Do you think it's going to sell 70? You reckon it's going to sell around 70 million units? 5 million units? Sorry.
I don't know.
Do you reckon it would sell 5 million units? I don't know. We won't comment on the varying numbers you're quoting, but we have factored into a strong launch for Star Wars Outlaws that reflects the fact that it's among the most awaited for games of the industry this year. Jesus Christ, I think you're flirting yourself there. Positivity and community sentiment, really, has also made the fact that we are continuing with the biggest market launch campaign ever. If there was strong positivity, strong community positivity, you wouldn't need such a high marketing campaign. PC gamers roast Star Wars Outlaw after system requirements have been revealed. It just keeps getting worse. So it requires Windows 10 or Windows 11 for the PC. It requires a Ryzen 5 5600X at 3.7 or at Intel Core i5. Its graphics card is a 3060 Ti or a AMD Raycon RX 670. Its internal memory is 16 gigs. Storage is 65 gigs. and its resolution is 1080p. Apart from all that, I think the graphics card is a little high, but what are your thoughts, Fritz? What are your thoughts on the min specs?
I think my graphics card can run that.
Yeah, so I would be failing on the graphics card. It does make you wonder though, like would the CPU carry it? Maybe, I'm not quite sure. But yeah, I suppose a lot of people are having problems with the 3060 when the graphics are looking like they're from 2020 or 2010. But so minimum system requirements is a GeForce GTX 1660 or better graphics card. Yeah, so it's saying about the graphics. They're complaining about the graphics card requirements. Which, to be honest, I think is a pretty fair criticism. I think at the end of the day, if it's requiring a 3060 graphics card for something that looks as bad as it does, my question would be why. But also, it does make you wonder too: will it be able to be PlayStation or Xbox? I don't think
that would be a good question. No,
I don't think the PlayStation or Xbox have a 3060 equivalent, did they?
I don't know actually.
But yeah. But anyway, I don't know. I think the it's interesting that it only needs an i5, but then it wants a 3060. That's interesting to me. But 2.9 gig processor for an Intel i5. But it is a 1040, which is pretty new too, which is, you know, pretty bad I suppose too, which is, it definitely does seem like it's high specs for something that doesn't look like it's high specs. Like, I don't know, like you've seen the graphics of this. What are your thoughts? What do you think has better graphics, Star Citizen or Star Wars?
Star Citizen by a long shot.
And the Star Citizen specs, minimum specs, are a lot lower than this. So, you know, what gives? It's my question, right? Is why are the Star Citizen minimum specs so much lower compared to this, yet the graphics are so much higher? But I don't know. Alright, let's move on. Alright, so ex-user attacks YouTuber Nerdrotic, claiming he sells outrage and anger, which to be fair to Gary, he probably does, but immediately reveals he's the one who is hateful. So a user by the name of Minute Nerd News attacked YouTuber Nerdrotic, aka Gary Belcher, by claiming he sells outrage and anger, which, to be honest, he does a little bit. Let's be fair. Nerdrotic, I love you, bro, but like, let's be honest, you do a little bit. But immediately reveals he's the one who tries to sell hate. In a thread on X gone viral, Minute Nerd News posted Nerdrotic is a piece of shit that we've been allowed to operate among us for far too long. What are you trying to say here, bro? He continued, before I focus my attention solely on this garbage, let us first focus on our attention on the explanation of what he is and his little grifter friends do, explained by one of them. So they have a clip. Oops, sorry. Let's listen to
Welcome to every video we make. We use one little thing and then we build the narrative out of it. Don't act like that's not what we do.
I don't build a narrative. I
You're
give
an
my
absolute
opinion.
fucking.
That's you are hard.
What we do. You've made the same fucking video on the same topic at least 7 times a week, Ryan. And you're gonna act like we don't do that.
I talk about I talk about
says one fucking thing and we make a whole video out of it. That's what we do.
Yeah, and like I say, to be honest, they're self-aware of this. It's not like they're denying it. So, for a start, I must admit, I'm probably biased. I love Nerdrotic's content. I love Gary. I love, Geeks and Gamers. Even Ryan. I like Ryan's comments and videos and stuff. I love heel versus babyface. I love all that sort of stuff. So I'm a little bit biased. I don't think you sort of watch their content more, Ferrets.
Actually, this is the first I'm just now hearing of them. So
yeah. So what would be? So that was going to be good. That's good because that's my sort of reaction to this. Is what's your sort of view on them saying stuff like that? Do you think it's an issue? Do you think it's like? What are your thoughts?
Well, really not for sure too much. I mean,
I do find it interesting, and this is something that they have brought up, right? No one cared about Nerdrotic's comments about the video gaming industry when he had 500,000 subs. No one cared about his video game opinions when he had 100,000 subs. It's only now that he has 1 million subs that people are now using the opportunity to attack him. So, take what you will from that. Look, I definitely do think that that this YouTuber who's attacking Nerdrotic at the moment is definitely using it because of the fact that Nerdrotic is popular. I would say that this same user who's attacked Nerdrotic, probably if he knew about our content, probably wouldn't give two shits. Even though it's probably similar to Nerdrotic. Because of the fact is that we're not as big as Nerdrotic is. He doesn't care about us because we don't have 1 million subs. So I do think a lot of it just comes down to solely as opportunism. Like, hey, you got a big YouTuber, it's got 1 million subs. If I can grift off him a little bit, I can use his base to sort of improve my base. Like, let's face it, this Minute Nerd News, we're literally talking about him now because of the fact that he attacked Nerdrotic. Before this, I've never even heard of this guy. But anyway. Anything else you want to add on this before we jump on to the next topic?
No, that's about it.
Alright, Spitfire Interactive responds to its tactics game Capes being added to DEI detected website after it consulted with Sweet Baby Inc. Spitfire Interactive issued a response. Go broke. After it recently revealed game capes were added to the DEI detector website after it was revealed it consulted with Sweet Baby Inc. People are just going to literally stop talking about Sweet Baby Inc. in a minute. It was added to the DEI detector on X. He wrote, "Sup guys, I bring a new Sweet Baby Inc. game for you all." He then shared a link to the DEI detector, which notes that Sweet Baby Inc. is listed in the game's credits, including the company's co-founder Dave Burl and one of its main agitators, Chris Kendall. The credits were pulled from the YouTube Christoph Oddod's channel. Spitfire Interactive Development Pantera addressed the game being added to the DEI website, writing on the game's Steam forms. We've already had 3 months and 14 pages of constructive discussion about DEI in the forum and deliver a gameplay update focusing on exactly what the player base wanted. Led up to 89% positive recent reviews. I would say bullshit. He continued, you don't have to take our word for it. You can actually read it up for yourselves. And he has linked to a discussion. Someone wrote, based on the heroes I've seen so far, I'm scared it's going to be woke. Truly brain dead. So basically it's a bit of an echo chamber. Okay, gotcha. Okay, for a start, if you're using your own discussion forums as a bellwether about whether or not people are going to be impressed about the fact that you've put DEI in your game, you're mistaken. Because here's the thing. The people that are on your forums are emotionally vested in your game. They will defend it. Especially when it comes to this sort of stuff. And also the people that will post responses to this question are going to be the people that are vocal in supporting it. The people that are going to sit there and are not going to want this stuff in their game are going to be very, very quiet because they're going to be afraid of losing their Steam library. So you can't sit here and say, hey, just because the fact that our forum is overwhelmingly positive when it comes to DEI, so that means DEI is good, because at the end of the day, the fact is that no, it's a silent majority who will basically sit there and not talk about this stuff and who will turn off from your game because of this DEI stuff. But yeah, at the end of the day, I don't know. Like, I have no interest in playing this game. Sweet Baby Inc. is involved. I'm not interested. I don't know what this game is. But, you know, it's a game called Capes from 2024. I don't know. I haven't heard of it. I'm not interested in it. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Not interested in either. I mean, this is actually the first time just now hearing of this.
Yeah.
As well, so.
And obviously this is a shame. This one. Multiple woke activists and Sweet Baby Inc. defenders laid off as a part of Bungie's massive downsizing. Oh, bummer, huh? Oh no. But this is after former World of Warcraft team lead Mark Kern reacts to layoffs at Disney developer by saying they were self-inflicted. Bungie CEO and chairman Pete Peters announced that they laid off in a blog post saying due to rising costs and developer and industry shifts as well as enduring economic conditions, it has become clear that we need to make substantial changes to our cost structure and focus development efforts entirely on Destiny and Marathon. He then declared that this means being, as of today, 220 of our roles will be eliminated, representing roughly 17% of our studio workforce. So if they're laid off 220 and 17%, so how do I do this? Help me out, Ferrets. How do I do 17% of a total that equals 220?
The easiest way would be do like 1,000 minus 17%, and it gives you the number. Then
yeah, that's what I'm doing.
There you go. But if you just like keep it going down or up based on that.
So it's about they've had about 1,300 people. Yeah, 1,300. So 1,300, 17% is approximately 221. So they say 220. So they have about 1,300 people. For a start, that's a lot for a studio. Even Star Citizen doesn't have that. But at the end of the day, look, do I think they've cut down on this? Yes. It's also interesting that we've also heard that we should not be expecting a Destiny 3?
Yep, they said that they're not even developing it.
Which is, to be honest, what I heard, and I said to you guys probably, 12 months ago? here's the argument here. Bungie has delayed, cancelled, or reportedly cancelled Destiny 3 Payback following layoffs. Here's the Reddit forum here. Clear up some rumors floating around. Destiny 3 was not cancelled because it was never in development. Per people familiar, Bungie did some very early work on a spin-off project called Payback, but they cancelled that a while ago. So I had heard this 12 months ago that Destiny 3 was not coming out. I heard right before Starfield's release. So when was Starfield released?
Not long enough.
Starfield released 6th of September 2023. So it was probably around August or July. That it was a couple of months before this. What I heard that Bungie was supposed to be going through and working on the planets for Starfield. And that they were going to be doing some procedural generation for planets when it comes to Starfield. But then, obviously, you know, as we know, Starfield has shit the bed, so to speak. So at the end of the day, I don't know if that's still on the cards or what, but look, this is coming from a guy who has over 3,000 hours playing Bungie Destiny 1. I think I had 3,500 hours in that game. Yes, I realise I don't have a life. Massive Destiny player. Not so much Destiny 2. I think the total hours on that, I think, was mostly sitting at 10 for a while there. 10 hours, that is. But at the end of the day, like, yeah, Destiny 1, I grinded that so hard. Like, yeah. I was a big Destiny player. Did you ever play Destiny or Destiny 2?
Yes, I played some of Destiny 1 and Destiny 2.
What were your thoughts? Did you like them?
Yeah, they were pretty good. I remember playing Destiny 2 when the first came out.
Yeah, dude, I was
pretty nice, actually.
I was literally, my grandma died a couple of days before Destiny 2 was supposed to be released. I was at the midnight launch of Destiny 2 picking up my game when my grandma's funeral was the very next day. I was going home at midnight on the morning of my grandma's funeral and installing Destiny because I wanted to play it so bad. But it just I know it just never felt right. It just, for some reason, it didn't feel like Destiny. Alright, let's jump on to the next title. Rumours, Flintlock, Siege of Dawn developer A44 Games expecting massive layoffs. Wow, it's like all these games that go woke just end up laying off a whole massive amounts of staff members. The rumour claims that A44 Games is expecting layoffs, much to its staff, following the failure of Flintlock Siege of Dawn. A user on Reset Era, who has since edited his comment to remove it, posted, "I'm a friend of a friend who resigned from the company. He's expecting massive layoffs. Does nobody... Well, sadly." What? Look, at the end of the day, as per noted by the Pirate Nation, the official X account for Flicklock, Siege of Dawn, shared that it had over 500,000 players across PlayStation, Xbox, and PlayStation. PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. The company posted, since launch, we've seen 500,000 new members of the Coalition Army across PC. That's huge. And I'm calling bullshit. As for the veracity of this rumour, the layoffs might have already happened. Former World of Warcraft team lead Mark Kern also reported on July 21st, the same date, the user's Reddit on Reset Era shared his claim that most of the staff had been laid off. And the game has no players, no weekend spike. Oof. Dude, it's hard being a game dev these days when you start putting woke stuff into your game. What are your thoughts? Do you reckon the rumours are true, or do you reckon it's BS, or what are your thoughts? What do you think about them claiming they've got 500,000 players?
Maybe.
It's across PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. We know it's Steam's user rating or Steam's user account is not that high. But I suppose it could be on PlayStation and Xbox. I'm not sure, but you reckon they're going to lay off stuff?
I mean, well, the game is pretty successful, so yeah, they would probably do like 50% of that.
Yeah,
at least a 50%, and they're gonna jam it filled with woke things to.
Well, the game's already out.
Up with.
The game's already out. This is sort of proving the point that, like, at the end of the day, if your game's out and people don't even know it's out yet, yeah. What does that say about the popularity of this Flintlock Siege of Dawn? Don't get me wrong, the graphics look great, but like, no one wants this woke crap in the game. Have you seen the video on YouTube going around where there's a guy that talks about like how like masculinity in games is dead?
Yeah.
Let me go through.
I think I have, at least.
Let me go through. See if I can find it. So it's done by Andy Pants Gaming.
Does anybody else?
And we'll just watch the first couple of minutes. Guys, I really suggest everybody go watch this video because it was really, really well done. But
does anybody else feel like masculinity has slowly been drained from modern video games? I was looking at recent staff photos of Ubisoft and Halo Infinite developers, and it's all starting to make sense. It's a bunch of fat, white, liberal women. And white, liberal women have no interest in masculine, manly, male characters. They wouldn't even know how to write one if they tried. This is why Rockstar, a company founded by men that at least in 2018 was still mostly run by men, created the magnum opus Red Dead Redemption 2, a game with a manly, well-written main protagonist, Arthur Morgan. If you want to see the seismic shift away from masculine characters, honestly, all you need to do is play a few games from 2006, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Consider how many masculine military games came out in the 2000s. Medal of Honor, Call of Duty, Brothers in Arms, Gears of War, Operation Flashpoint, Rainbow Six, Ghost Recon, Splinter Cell. All of these games were starring men and had themes like...
I would say even like you got Battlefield and all those sort of games as well too. Like there's more than just what he mentions here. But he's 100% right. Halo, for example. One of the biggest badasses moment of Halo that I remember was you go through and you stop the Covenant from detonating a bomb against I think it's the Pill of Autumn. And
no, that would be Cario Station and Halo 2.
Was it? No, it was a space station. Was it space station or was it a... Oh,
it was a space station. It was a super mech cannon. I should know. I love Halo 2.
Right, yeah. We'll refer to his judgment for Halo. But there's the scene where like you literally stop this bomb from going off. And what does Chief do?
He gives the Covenant back their bomb.
He opens the fucking airlock door and says, "Hold my beer, I'll be back." And they're like, basically, "What the hell are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm giving back them their bomb." Detonates it, kicks it towards them, detonates it onto a Covenant battle cruiser, and blows the ship out of the sky using their own bomb.
You want me to be super technical here?
Sure.
It wasn't a battleship, it was a supercarrier.
Whatever. Hang on. Let's just. There has to be one of the badass moments.
Inside your head.
Badass moments in the fucking game. Now you compare that to Halo 5 or any of the recent Halo franchises. None of this shit happens anymore.
Now.
How much time was left?
You don't want to know.
Cairo, this is an Emberclad. The carrier shield is down. I'm in position and ready for immediate assault.
Negative, Commander. Not against a ship that size. Not on your own.
Sir, permission to leave the station.
For what purpose, Master Chief?
To give the Covenant back their
Permission granted.
Sorry, you literally were talking. Let's just watch this again.
Permission to leave.
Cairo, this is an Emberclad. The carrier shield is down. I'm in position and ready for immediate assault.
Negative, Commander. Not against a ship that size. Not on your own.
Sir, permission to leave the station.
For what purpose, Master Chief?
To give the Covenant back their bomb.
Permission granted.
I fucking love that! He's just dragging the bomb along, you know? Yeah.
I know what you're thinking, and it's crazy.
Stay here.
Unfortunately for us both, I like crazy. Just one question. What if you miss?
I won't.
Pretty good.
Chief, get inside. Gear up.
One of the most badass moments of fucking Halo was literally him saying, "Hang on, guys, you forgot your bomb. I'll give it back to you." Sorry, what were you going to say, Fizz? You know, Fritz?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I was muted.
What were you going to say? Sorry, you were saying, trying to say something when the trailer was gone, the thing was gone? No, forgot, no. But,
I don't remember, really.
That's all right. If you do, let us know. But what I was going to say was, like, compare shit like that to these days. This stuff will never happen in gaming anymore. Like, the closest we get is like Red Dead Redemption. Now you've got fucking people running around like waving pride flags and you know, and DEI capes and, you know, all this sort of stuff. Like, and they wonder why the gaming industry is dying. But, you know. Anyway. Second last story that I know of, unless you've got something, is Game Informant has been shut down. Over 33-year legacy deserves a genuine goodbye. Game Informer staff tweets, one last goodbye after all of their work was deleted. Then GameStop nukes the account from orbit. This is a shame, man. I grew up like reading Game Informant. Did you ever read much of the Game Informant stuff? What was your thoughts and opinions on it?
I used to have a subscription like on them years ago.
Yeah, were they the ones that had the demo discs?
I think I joined on after they did that.
I think it was actually, I think they were demo CDs, actually. It was PC Gamer, sorry, that had this. Yeah, so I grew up basically with both PC Gamer and Game Informant. PC Gamer was always good because it gave the demo discs. But Game Informant did have the good articles in it. But yeah, at the end of the day, I can't believe that, like, I suppose half of this is just because of the fact that we're now in this digital era and they just didn't seem to handle the transaction very well. But I think another thing is that people do not trust the gaming industry anymore. They do not trust the journalists who run these companies and write these articles. You look at like the Star Wars, right? Star Wars Outlaws. How many people have been invited to this Ubisoft marketing thing and have sat there and actually given the game a bad review? I haven't seen one. Yeah, Luke has been there and said, look, it's great, but there are some problems. But that's about as negative as I've seen it. And these are guys that are YouTubers. You go through, you look at some of the game reviews for what was the game review for Helldivers? IGN has reviewed Helldivers. They have given it a... is a modern game that does almost everything right. It gives a ton of freedom, feels fantastic to play, blah, blah, blah. Where's their score rating? It doesn't say what their score rating was. PC Gamer, what's their score rating? Doesn't say also. Have they gone away from giving score ratings now? It's been such a long time since I've played any sort of, I've listened to any mainstream games journalists. But and this is the thing, right? Is that people don't trust these guys anymore because they've been so wrong in the past. They've been clearly biased, and people are just refusing to take notice of what they have to say. I don't know. What are your thoughts on the game industry? Do you listen to what people like Game Informant have to say, or?
Oh no.
Which is, it's a shame because, like I said, this is a 33-year legacy. It does make you wonder how much they were selling it for. But I was kind of hoping that someone would buy it and then maybe do a good job with it. But But there was an article that came out a few months ago where I think it was IGN wanted to concentrate on just reviews. Wants to concentrate on reviews. Staff complained. Was it Kotaku or was it IGN or? It was one of these gaming companies. They went through it and the management was saying that basically like, hey, we're not going to focus on the politics anymore. We're just going to focus on game reviews, and then the staff revolted. It's like, wow, your game's jealous and you care more about politics than you do about game reviews. But yeah, it's sad to see, I suppose. But Game Informant is dead, officially dead and buried now. But yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on Game Informant going down?
It's like watching a part of my childhood. I'd leave.
Well, that's true too, right? Like, you know, we've all grown up listening and watching these reviews and reading these magazines and stuff, so, you know. But, yeah, there's a post on their official website. After 33 years of bringing you the latest reviews, news, and insights from evolving gaming, it's heavy heart that we announce the closure of Game Informant. From early days of pixelated adventures to today's immersive virtual realms, we've been honoured to sell you this incredible journey with you. And their website is now just shows that. Which is sad. Alright. Anything else we want to add on to Game Informant before we jump on to the last topic that I know of? At least have you got anything? Or is it just the last one?
I think this should be the last one.
Right, so Logitech CEO Hane Faber wants to next mouse to last forever. It's a little bit misleading what the headline, but okay, I'm talking with Hane Faber, the CEO of Logitech. Is still pretty new to the role. She joined the company last October after the former CEO left. And one thing since changed. Logitech, like so many other companies, saw a huge pandemic boom, very abruptly saw the growth slow, and then the world began to normalize. Blah, 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 blah. So let's get to the crux of the thing. Is that, of course, we talked about whether anyone wants their mouse to be anything more than a mouse. Logitech is adding AI features to even an AI button to some of its products. You'll hear Hannah talk about a concept called the Forever Mouse. A mouse that you buy once and upgrade it over time with its new software features. Features that, of course, might carry a subscription fee. So they want you now to pay to use your mouse on a monthly basis?
Yeah, forget that.
Welcome to the New World Order. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. So she does talk about it here. How long does this go for? Oh,
support for
it goes for an hour?
Decoder comes from The World as You'll Know It, a podcast about the forces shaping our...
Your newish CEO of Logitech. Welcome to the Decoder. Thank you very much. I'm really excited to hear. Blah, blah, blah. But let's get on to the Forever Mouse. Yokota Shigai. Blah, 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 blah. Right, so this comes up surprisingly on the Decoder. Once told me that John Deere has more software engineers than hardware engineers because it has to support the ongoing services and cloud capability of their tractors. This makes a little more sense for Logitech, but really what we're talking about is an ongoing cost. You sell me the keyboard once, it's got options plus, It has an AI button. I push the button and someone has to make sure that software still works. Someone probably has to pay ChatGPT for the access to the service. Where that's going to come from, are you banking that into the margin of the keyboard or mouse? She goes, absolutely, we're banking it in. I'm not particularly worried about that. What I'm actually hoping is that it will contribute to the longevity of our products. We'll have more premium products, but products that last longer because they're superior and because we continue to update them over time. And again, I'm talking about the doubling the business, reduction of the carbon footprint by half. The longevity piece is really important. I'm very intrigued. The other day, I was in Ireland in our innovation center. One of our teams showed me a Forever mouse with the comparison to watch. This is a nice watch, not a super expensive watch, but I'm not planning to throw that watch away ever. So why would I throw away my mouse or keyboard? Well, because they break, because we smash them. Game range. I'm throwing my mouse or keyboard away if it's fantastic quality, well designed, software enabled. For the Forever mouse is one of the things I'd like to get to use. What made the mouse Forever mouse? It was a little heavier, had great software and services that you constantly updated, and it was beautiful. They seemingly don't know what a mouse does. It's a fucking mouse! You know what it does? It points and it clicks! That's all. That's all a mouse does. I swear, them putting AI on everything is driving me insane. I was literally having... I was using ChatGPT last night, and I was trying to get it to fix some Lua code, right? And it went through, and it said to me to try and do it one way, and it was getting errors. So then I posted the error, right? And say it was like error 1, right? And it turned around and suggested another way to do the same code. And that gave me, say, error 2. And then I posted that error to say, no, this is also causing an error 2. Guess what? It then turned around and suggested the same code that gave me error 1. And then when I said, you've already told me that it doesn't work, it then suggested the code that gave me error 2 again. And it just kept going backwards and forwards between error 1 and error 2. And it did that for about half an hour. It was so infuriating because I was trying to get it to realize that both of those are problematic and that there's got to be another way to do it. And I just could not. I ended up giving up on it. But it was just like, don't get me wrong, ChatGPT is great, but I used to be worried that ChatGPT was going to take over the world because it was smart. Now I'm worried it's going to take over the world because it's dumb. But what are your thoughts on this Forever mouse and Logitech? I love Logitech stuff. Like, to be honest, my keyboard and mouse that I'm currently using are both Logitech right now. I love their stuff. But I tell you what, if they bring in this subscription service for a mouse, I'm done. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not really keen on having more subscriptions on top of subscriptions on top of subscriptions, you know?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, and I will say that they have backtracked on this a lot. It was apparently, according to them, it was just an idea that was floated. It was never like seriously put into production. But like, can you imagine charging people to update your software?
It was an idea until people heard about it and they didn't like it, and then it was like, oh, we weren't actually going to do that.
Yeah, we're just joking, bro. It's you know. Yeah.
It's a prank, bro.
Yeah, it's a prank. Don't worry about it. It's all good. Anyway. Like I said, they have definitely walked back on this now. They have no intentions of bringing it in, I don't think. But it does make you wonder, like, how long before someone else tries to bring this in, right? It's the death of 1,000 cuts. They'll try and bring it in. They get a large amount of backlash. They walk it back. 6 months later, they try again. It's a little bit less backlash. They walk it back. They bring it in another 3 or 6 months after that. A little bit less backlash than the second time. And eventually, after a while, everybody just sort of puts up with it. But, I don't know. Anyway, apart from that, anything else we want to talk about before we wrap up for the day?
No, I think that's about it.
Star Citizen. We probably should get on to that very, very quickly. Let's do that. Alright guys, so let's jump into the Star Citizen stuff. Because we obviously have Wave 1 for 3.24.1 or 0.0, sorry. So 3.24.0 is out for Wave 1. It is obviously US and EU enabled. Long-term persistence enabled. Replication layer enabled. Server recovery is enabled. Starting money is $15 million. Testing focus is personal hangars and instance hangars, freight elevators, storage access, hangar decorations, and cargo hauling missions. The Dominic event, Blockade Runner, is not ready for testing yet, but I suspect that has more to do with amount of players rather than not being ready. There are some known issues. So obviously quick buying items on display at Orison Vision Center ends in transaction error. The affinity appears to decrease after successful mission. That's for your reputation. The terminal is pressing enter when interacting with any terminal opens a global chat, causing players to lose game interaction. The transit hangar elevators, hangar instance elevators can be called and arrive at the current floor, but the doors do not open. I've had that, but you just simply press the button for that floor and it opens. The personal hangars do not open when contacting ATC, taking off or landing. High chance. Ferrets, have you had this problem?
To be honest, I haven't really played much of the PTU. I played like maybe 20 minutes the other day, long enough to just check out the hangars, and that's it.
And did you try and take off or land at your hangar?
No.
No.
Because I heard that there was really long takeoff queues, and that it was almost impossible to take off without having to wait for 20-30 minutes.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, I did try and leave in my hangar just to see if it worked, and lo and behold, it does not. So I can vouch for the fact that that does not work. The retrieving the hull C at locations without a docking port will display unable to request at this time, which makes complete sense. There's no docking port. AI are missing inside a Craya. Players cannot hear other players through any audio channel, which is not true. You hear them all the time when they're not supposed to. Turrets get stuck at firing nowhere near their targets. Transit will intermittently desync, of course. Hostility not being wiped by QT. AI do not move after spawning. The text alert is very small, can be difficult to read. Unable to plot route to planet side. Combat AI are non-responsive and automatically is failed. G-force induces head movement is excessive. And the various parts of Area 18 Central cannot be routed via mobiGlas. And the game crashes after launch on any mode using the Jericho map. But they have reduced the trespasser timers in the personal instance to 0 seconds. And they are unable to lower the cargo elevators with cargo attached. They have fixed that bug at the scrapyards. They have also fixed the bug where hangar elevators, players who are the first person to retrieve the ship will be the only one to appear in the elevator's floor section, other party members. And they've also fixed the Tumblr Psycho passenger seat, should now be correctly functioning. They have also fixed 2 server crashes. What are your thoughts on the hangar flare, the hangar items, the cargo elevators? What are your thoughts on the whole thing first?
Well, I didn't mess much with the hangars. I was simply just pulling out ships and putting them back in,
right,
and just watching the V4 move. I'm a very simple creature. I see things move and I'm fascinated by it.
So I did go through and I did actually get some of the flare and actually set it up in my hangar. I'm just trying to find my channel now with not that I think it was when I was doing the Black Pearl. No, not the Black Pearl. The one before that, maybe. Did I not save it? Would have been a live show. Yeah, here it is, here. Right. So, I can actually just play this in the background while we talk about it. So here I actually go through and I actually buy some stuff, and I actually set up the hangar and pull items out and move items around and stuff like that. We do still have a bit of the jankiness when it comes to like items and stuff being moved around. It's me trying to do animation. Here it is here actually. And you can actually see me setting up like the hangar and stuff like that, moving items and stuff. Now the one bug I have noticed is that your tractor beam, you weren't able to go through and actually put your tractor attachment on your multi-tool. I don't know if that's been fixed yet. This is obviously the first day of Wave 1. So I did have to use the bigger tractor beam to go through and to move things around. But it was kind of cool, like setting up things, moving things around, setting up like tables and chairs and you know, bean bags and all that sort of stuff, couches and stuff. And obviously, like you say, obviously doing the whole hangar moving, you know, watching things go up and down, blah, blah, blah. But I will say this, is that you do need to be a lot more prepared. So like, for example, where you used to be able to sort of like, by the way, yes, I did manage to glitch a seat into the actual floor. But where you used to be able to just like go down to your ship and get things and like pull things out, and then, you know, it wasn't a big deal if you forgot something. Like, I had to go back to the shops 3 times now. Now, one of those times I had to go back was simply because of the fact that tractor beams didn't work and I had to go back and buy another tractor beam thingy. But, you know, at the end of the day, like, if you want to go through and you want to set up to sort of like move items and stuff, and you don't have your tractor beam at this location, and you spawn at your hab and you forget to grab one, guess what? You're walking all the way back to get it. So there is a lot more setup that is required now, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It just means that people are going to have to be a little bit more prepared, I would say, is probably a better word. Anything you want to add, Ferrets, about this whole 324 experience?
So far it's taken forever.
Oh, you mean to get in or to come out?
For it to hit live.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, like, let's face it, would you rather it take forever or come out buggy?
I don't know.
Really? That's a choice even for you?
It's a very tempting offer.
Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, like to quote Jared, you know, It's not game engineering, it's game dev, you know, whatever he says. He's 100% right. I can tell you now from a guy that has tried to make a video game with, you know, various levels of success. You know, it is a lot harder than people think. Way harder than people think. Hell, at the moment, I'm trying to do the simple head movement with just get my character's head to tilt up and down. And that's problematic. Let alone doing some of the stuff that CIG are doing here. So I suppose I have a sort of a different opinion on it, because I sort of know how much trouble it is to do some of this stuff. But I don't know. Any other thoughts? Any other opinions you have, Ferrets?
No, that's about it. I'm just, yeah.
When do you think it'll go live? End of this week?
Probably end of this month.
Well, I don't think it's that bad, but what do you think about 4.0? Do you think this is going to affect 4.0, or do you think it's still on track? We sort of have talked about this, but just so the audience here.
I'm gonna be realistic here. I don't think 4.0 is it's going to come to live anytime this year. Maybe PTU near the end of the year, but I don't see it happening anytime soon.
What makes you say that?
The way... well... the way that they are doing everything with how 3.23 went and how 3.24 it's currently going.
Did you hear about the server test for server mission that was on?
Nope.
No. So there was a server test, I think it was this weekend, and apparently it went pretty well.
Didn't hear anything.
No. Well, that should say it went pretty well. If you didn't hear anything, then probably, obviously, it's good news, right? But at the end of the day, it's look, to be honest, here's a big difference, right? 4.0 doesn't have a lot of game-breaking mechanics in it.
It has server meshing. That's pretty...
Yeah, and this has cargo...
right there.
And this has cargo refactor. Everything...
I thought that we already had a cargo... I thought we've already had the cargo refactoring like last year or 2 years ago, and that's why all of these ships are now getting bigger because of the cargo grids and all that getting changed, and that was the refactoring.
It was, and then they've had to go through and do another refactor for this.
So they're refactoring the cargo refactor?
Yeah. Happens way more a lot than you think it does. Because here's the thing: some of the stuff that was brought in then could not be brought in until now.
I have a feeling that when server meshing actually comes out, it's probably going to break a lot of things for a while before things actually get better.
Well, it depends how much they test it. Depends how much it gets tested. And to be honest, I think at the end of the day, I think the colossal failure that you see in the 3.18 will most likely not happen again. Touch wood. But
you mean 3.23?
Sorry, yeah, it was the 3.23 or 3.18. When was it? They had the replication layer. Clusterfuck. That was 3.18, wasn't it?
I think so, but 3.23 was also pretty bad too.
No, it wasn't. I never had a problem with 323. What problems did you have?
That it took forever?
Okay, but that's not a problem with the servers, though. Right? When we talk about 318 and the clusterfuck that was 318 was the fact that it was the fact that the servers were down for like a day or two because of glitches and errors.
3.18 was down for more than just a day or two.
I think it was 2 days for me.
I believe.
I think it was 2 days for me.
It was a few days.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, I never had any of those problems with 323. Did you? Not that you remember?
I don't know.
No. I don't remember anyway. But yeah, so at the end of the day, that's when I'm talking about like problems is like that sort of stuff. The game taking a while to come out, dude, that's nothing. Like if that's the biggest complaint that people have is that the game's taking too long to come out, like shit, man. Like I would say also the people that also say stuff like that needs to pick up a copy of O3DE and try and do a game.
I don't have enough time. I work for a living.
So do I. But as I was going to say was also at the end of the day, I don't think it's a time thing. And this is not me just talking about you here, right? I'm talking about other YouTubers too, like Salty Mike or Space Tomato or Morphologist, right?
Oh,
Morphologist.
you're touching some nerves there, man.
I don't have a comment. I'll fucking guide it. But that's what I say is at the end of the day is Morphologist has worked for a Danegev company in the past, sure. He designed ships, I believe. For a concept art or something like that, maybe. I'm not sure what his job with is space, whatever it was, Space Atlas, whatever it was. I think he was lead concept or concept artist for Space Atlas. But I was going to say, but like these, like Salty Mike and Space Tomato and all these sort of people, dude, they have not designed a fucking game in their life. They have not modified a game in their life. Dude, they haven't even touched fucking... I would be surprised if they even know what fucking Note++ is. You know, so, you know, like at the end of the day, this is where I'm like, well, like if you want to argue or if you want to make arguments against how long something takes, go and fucking try it yourself. Like, I've been trying for 2 days to fix my fucking crouch. My character crouches, yes, but now I have to figure out how to actually make the reverse animation so that she actually stands up again. And I've been trying for 2 days to figure that out. Now, obviously, it's not full 2 days trying to work it out. It's touching on it, leaving it, coming back, touching on it, coming back, leaving. Yeah, sure. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know, like the stuff that CIG is doing is light years beyond what I'm doing, and I guess I just have more of appreciation for the shit that they try and do when it comes to, you look at stuff like this, and then you compare it to like my game, and I'm like, wow, like they're leaving me in the dust. So, you know, if it takes an extra 3 or 4 weeks for the game patch to come out, then I don't really care, because like I would much rather a stable build than to have something like a buggy 3.18 come out, I suppose. But also you got to keep in mind, from what I'm hearing, the staff that were working on 3.23 were far smaller than the staff members that are working on 4.0. There's a lot more people working on 4.0 than there is on 3.23. And as far as I know, 4.0 is still scheduled for, I'm hearing this year, they're trying to get it done for SitCon, for a PTU. But suppose...
Look, I'm not trying to be the bad guy here, but like, with how they handle 3.23 and how 3.24 is currently going, I don't have much faith that they will get that out in record time.
Well, it's not record time, it's even just on time. Right? At the end of the day, 3.24 is, or 4.0, sorry, 4.0 is scheduled for September of this year. Q3. So it's not a case of it coming out on record time, it's a case of will it be on time. Do you think they're going to make September or CitizenCon for a PTU for 4.0?
No.
Okay. If they do, can I crash your Idris into a planet? You want to make a wager on it?
I mean, no.
I was like, do you want to put your money where your mouth is?
Actually, yes.
You really,
actually, yeah.
You're that confident that they're not going to make it, that you willingly let me crash your Idris into a planet.
No, I just want to see what it would. I just want to see what it would look like to try to actually do that.
Okay. So, what do you actually think then? Do you actually think they're going to make September for sitcom for a PTU?
No.
We're talking about just PTU 4.0.
No.
Last day of CitizenCon. Do you think the PTU is going to be out?
No.
Right. Okay. Do you think it's going to be close to that? Do you reckon it's going to be around December? When do you think? What month do you think we'll get a PTU for 4.0?
Late November.
All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. We'll see. We'll see who's right. Right. I think at the end of the day, it's probably going to be PTU at CitizenCon. If not, maybe a couple of days after. It may be delayed a couple of days. But apart from that, I don't think it's going to be anything other than that, really. Everything I'm hearing at the moment is sort of showing that they are on schedule for a CitizenCon release for a PTU. But we'll see. Apart from that, obviously the biggest thing about 3.24 is obviously the cargo refactor and the persistence in the hangars and stuff. What are your general overthoughts of the persistent hangar? Do you think it's good? Do you think you like them? What are your general thoughts?
Yeah. I like the hangars. They are doing a pretty good, and they do look pretty nice.
I will say I have had an issue with the audio, where when I first walk into the hangar, I'm hearing...
Yeah, that's a very well-known thing.
Yeah, it's everybody else's audio. It's basically, it's equivalent to like 8 audio tracks trying to play on the same audio stream. Which is why it plays up so much. But apart from that, it's generally, that's the only one that I really, the biggest issue I have. Things like the table and stuff that people might have saw earlier. The items were a little bit janky and sort of glitching around and spazzing out a little bit, but apart from that, it's been generally pretty good. Alright, apart from that, anything else we want to talk about before we wrap up for the night?
Nope.
No? I will be streaming later tonight to go through and do a bit of game dev. We're going to be working on animations for characters and maybe also a bit more of the Black Pearl. Have you got any plans, thoughts on streaming? What are your plans for the rest of the week?
Probably working for the rest of this week.
Trying to make money, trying to keep yourself out of trouble.
Trying to make good money so I don't go into a financial depression.
Who knows?
That doesn't really work very well, so...
Well, stop spending money on spaceships.
I haven't spent money on spaceships, that's the problem.
Well, you have... No, not lately, but recently. But up until a while ago you were. Apparently John's buying a new gun.
A real one?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Nice.
John's got a fucking arsenal. He was telling me about it. Buying a pistol.
I would actually love to get that, but to get a new gun or to actually get a gun, but I'm broke. So
the funny story just before we go. I actually always I was going to just come over to America, not tell you, and basically rock up at your front door when I was going to attend CitizenCon last year.
Nice.
And basically, it was going to be me and John. So what was going to happen was I was going to land at LA, drive up to where John is, not saying states, drive up to where John is, pick him up, drive down to where you are, pick you up, and then the three of us were going to go to sitcom.
Nice.
But
Citizen kind of was back in like LA, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So how do you expect me on getting back home?
Well, I could fly you home or drive you home or something. I was going to be over there for like a week.
All right. Well, I mean, there's always the option in the DV future.
Yeah, yeah. But the thing was that John was like, yeah, we should totally do that. And I was like, yeah. And then he's like, oh, and we should totally take ferrets to a range. And I'm like, oh, yeah. He's like, yeah, we should go to the gun range. And I'm like, so I have to pick him up first and then come and pick you up? And he's like, oh, yeah, I don't know, maybe we can go to a range at LA or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, yeah, have you got some firearms? Have you got some guns to go to the range with? He starts rattling off all the guns that he has. I'm like, bro, are you planning for a fucking civil war or something? It was just like, oh, yeah, I like me guns. John's great. But that was going to be the plan for the last CitizenCon. But, yeah. It never happened because obviously I never went over, and there's always next year or something, I suppose, but we'll see. But by the way, guys, in case you're watching the stream, you're wondering what I'm doing at the moment. I'm trying to wait for the doors to open, and it doesn't happen. So that bug we were talking about before, literally I've had it. Where like I was ready to go and do a mission and couldn't leave because the doors weren't opening. But anyway, apart from that, Ferrets, anything else you want to comment before we jump off for the night? Any other stories? Any other things you want to say? Or no, not really.
Nope.
All right. When do you reckon it'll go to? When do you reckon it'll go live with 3.24?
I don't know yet.
Probably the end of this week, maybe.
End of this month, yeah.
End of this month, yeah. End of this month?
Yeah.
That's like 3 weeks away, bro.
Yeah.
I reckon maybe the end of this week, maybe pushing it, maybe the end of next week.
No.
We'll see. Alright, guys, let us know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. When do you think 3.24 will go live? Ferrets is saying the end of the month. I'm saying maybe mid this month. Let us know what your thoughts are in that comment section below. Apart from that, Ferrets, do you guys say bye?
Goodbye, you peasants.
Says the guy that's broke. Probably should think about some other name to stop calling people besides peasant. Just saying.
Why? They're peasants, right?
Have a good night, everybody. Enjoy yourself. We'll see you in the next episode, everybody. Have a good night. Well, actually, I'll see you on stream later tonight. But by the time this goes up, we'd already started. So, go to join stream. Have a good night, everybody.